We're on Channel 22, Mediacom Channel 22, and ColumbiaCougars.com. Another edition of our Cougar Coaches Show. And we've got the assistant head coach for Bob Burchard and the Cougars, Matt Brock. Third season, correct?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show. First time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You came to Columbia College a few years ago, and right off the jump, you set your bar pretty high, that 35-0 season, the #1 ranking. Take us through the whirlwind of basically getting the opportunity to come be an assistant coach for Bob Burchard. What was that like?
Well, it's a great opportunity. I mean, I fell right into an unbelievable situation. Sean Dooley is a good friend of mine and kind of was key in getting me an interview with Coach. And, obviously I walked into an excellent team, and I knew that right away in the summer when I saw him play for the first time. So it's been really fun. I mean, learning so much every day from Coach Burchard, and even our guys are just great players and great kids, and it's been really fun.
Now, your dad, you grew up in a basketball family. Your dad, the story goes, you were, 9 days old, your first time in a gym. Your dad was a high school coach for a long time, and you grew up with him in the gym all the time, and then played for him as well. Take us to, what was that like, having a dad and coach at the same time?
Yeah, I grew up in the gym, literally. As long as I can remember, I went to every practice and every game, of course, and learned math on the scoreboard. And my dad is a high school coach. My little brother is a high school coach. My sister was a high school coach and an AAU coach, and she's kind of giving it up. But everybody coaching and basketball is in our family, and it's fun though. We enjoy it and always call each other after games and give a synopsis. This is what happened, and kind of recap for each other and cheer for each other from afar.
Did you ever think about doing anything else, or was it pretty much, I'm going to do what Dad did and be a coach?
No, I thought I was going to go away from it in my first semester freshman year. Microeconomics changed that, so it was pretty quick that I realized, basketball is my passion. So. And
then before Columbia College, you were at Pittsburg State for a few years. You played at Truman State. Pittsburg State's got a heck of a tradition, both in football and in basketball. What do you think it was about coming up the ranks as an assistant coach that got you ready for the job here at Columbia?
Well, Pittsburg State, Coach Gene Iba, who was the head coach at Baylor and Houston Baptist before that, legendary nephew of Henry Iba, who invented man-to-man defense, hired me there and learned a ton from him. And then Kevin Muff came in my last 2 years, and they're having a great year this year. Learned a ton there, and it was a very competitive league, a lot of good coaches. And then obviously we played in that league at Truman. Now they've changed conferences since then, but just was exposed to a lot of good basketball. I mean, Kim Anderson was coach at Central Missouri from my sophomore year, of course, until I left, until I came here. So I competed against him as both a player and a coach, and so those are the kind of people that kind of sharpen your skills and you learn from, because every game is a learning opportunity, whether you win or lose, and I always pick things up from coaches. Either competing against them or watching on TV. So it was, a good education and still ongoing.
I think a lot of former players, either one where they can become really good coaches, or sometimes it doesn't work where they can take what they can do on the court and are able then to communicate it. They can't sometimes separate that I can't actually go out and put a uniform on. What skill set, what do you think, from both being a successful football player, winning a state title as a quarterback, and a basketball player through high school and college has enabled you to be such a successful coach?
Well, they say that good players aren't very good coaches. So I wasn't a great player. I was a pretty average player, so I think that's helped me as far as college goes. But no, I mean, you having an understanding of what it's like to be out there definitely helps. And when you study the game, you can kind of draw on that experience from playing days and say, well, and put yourself in their shoes and what they're thinking as a player. But, I think I've just been fortunate just to be around the game so long and around so many great coaches that whether I was playing, watching, water boy for my dad or whatever, all that knowledge I've just kind of accumulated and written down and learned and reread, and it kind of puts together what you think good basketball is. What's winning basketball? That's what guys say. What your philosophy is, like, well, we want to do things that win, that help you win. So it's not. I don't think it's hard to buy into hey, this philosophy, because this is statistically, this is, on video, we can show you this is what wins basketball games.
No, and especially the way this Cougar program over the years has ranked as far as defensively. I think you're still the top team, at least as far as limiting the opponents to 54, 55 points a game. That's obviously a big part of it. And then such a wide team as far as talent-wise, and we'll get into more of the actual team. I know one of the things that Coach Burchard raved about, that you kind of changed the way this school and this team does video. Technically, things are so much different now with a basketball player, student athlete sitting there with an iPad or a smartphone in their hand. You can get them game film and talk about that part of being an assistant coach, which is obviously a big part of your job here, is that prep for the next game, that scouting report.
Yeah, but definitely this time of the year especially, that's a huge part of what we do. But like you said, just the change in technology and just the sharp curve that technology's on. The game of basketball is not far behind in utilizing those technologies, and we're able to get film the next day or that night on our previous opponents and able to get it broken down and then kind of into a short presentation for our players, so we don't have to spend an hour or 2 hours in this film room. We can watch what we need to watch in 12 to 15 minutes. And that's about as long as their attention spans will hold anyway. But we,
because of the technology on the other side of that smartphone.
But our guys do a great job in preparation. You alluded to our defense. We do it. We walk through it on the floor. We'll guard some in practice. We watch the video, of course. We give them a written scouting report. We go over it in the locker room before the game. We give them a lot of different ways so it can hit different learning styles. And then that repetition 4 or 5 times, short presentations. By the time you play a team second, third time, we're starting to internalize and know exactly what's happening and what they want to do before it happens. And you see it on the court with guys like Pep Stansel and Tanner Sutton, who are excellent defensive players and really study and really look at the opponents and take what we give them as a coaching staff and put it into practice.
And that's the second side of it, as you mentioned, some of the guys and how smart they are up here, not only in the classroom, but basketball-wise. You can give players all the tools in the world and all the prep and scouting reports and the homework you guys have done, but if they don't study it right and really want to buy into what you guys are trying to show them, it's not going to come through on the court.
No, and this team, all 3 of the teams at Columbia that I've been a part of have been super high on how much info you can give them. It's almost like you can't give them too much. And I know some of the guys, they get bogged down sometimes, but if they're even retaining 75 or 80% of what we're giving them, that's going to help. That could be one set play or one inbounds play that we know what's happening, we stop. That could be a deciding factor in a game. So these guys have a huge capacity for preparation and scouting and all the things that go into being a good defensive team.
Talking with Matt Brock, assistant coach of the Cougar men's basketball team. Bob Burchard, the head coach. Sean Dooley, several of his years, the last couple of years, obviously as a player and then an assistant here before heading for Baker, which left the opportunity for you here at Columbia College. A lot of times, the game-wise, Bob is there in the chair, and you're the one kind of leading the charge or leading the timeouts, and pretty much from the jump, you had that same opportunity. Talk about what that means coming from Coach Burchard.
Well, that was something that was kind of surprising, especially initially in that first year, that Coach would give me that much trust and responsibility. And I'm not going to sit and think about it if he's going to give me the opportunity. I'm the kind of person that just goes ahead and does it. But no, it works out well, and we work well together. We talk constantly. We're in constant communication, talking every day about our team, about our opponents, about what we need to do to get better, about recruiting. So it's almost groupthink a little bit between the two of us. So he doesn't like the whiteboard for some reason. I like the whiteboard, so maybe that's what some people perceive out there. But he has given me a lot of responsibility, especially on the defensive end, and it's been a great learning experience for me as a aspiring head coach someday to have that responsibility and have that input.
You mentioned the recruiting, and that was where I was going to head next. So thanks for the pass, and I'll see if I can make the shot here. That is obviously a part of your job as well. And as Coach Burchard has mentioned, you get all the footage you want from recruiting. Of course, they always make their free throws and three-pointers on those recruiting tapes. So obviously, there's a lot of travel involved in going to the JUCOs, to the high school games. How do you balance getting out and seeing as many of the players versus what's available through video services and trying to find that next Columbia College Cougar?
Well, you can't replace the live evaluation. I don't think. You can just, I like to get to a game a little early, watch warm-ups, and kind of see how the guy is interacting with his teammates, how he's preparing. You look at his body. I mean, he's going to take more shots in warm-ups than he's going to take in the game, likely. So you can evaluate the shot mechanics and athleticism to a degree. But, we utilize video, but we like to see players live. And kind of our process is we'll try to start developing a list the summer before the season at a lot of AAU tournaments in July when the NCAA evaluation periods are out. That's when the best players are out and the best tournaments are. And we hit Kansas City, St. Louis, Tulsa. We'll get everywhere in our region and try to see as many players as we can and start a list. And then as you research, that list grows smaller and smaller till this time of the year. Now we're going to see guys that we know we like or we know are high on our list, and we're trying to decide, okay, we're going to offer him, we're going to offer him, or we're going to bring him in first, those type of things. So, this time of the year is very busy. I've already been to 2 high school games this week, probably go to another one tomorrow, but we're able to balance it well, I think, as a staff, because Coach Burke's on the road a lot too down in Jackson, and he does a lot of junior college recruiting in Illinois and down in that area, and in St. Louis as well. So he's very helpful, and together we eventually get guys on campus and hopefully get them signed. So it's a long process, but as you can tell, when you get the right ones, it makes it fun once the season comes.
And more times than not, there's at least one guy at some point. You don't go more than 2 years without a Jackson down there next to somebody's name. There's certainly a pipeline. Obviously, recruiting, a lot of it is connections and communication between coaches and building that communication over the years with those guys. And then once you get them here, I know a couple weeks ago there was a couple players in for a visit, and then it's almost reversed. Then it's you guys are the ones that are being scouted and recruited because mom and dad are with them. They want to see the campus. They want to know what the game day atmosphere is like. It's almost like dating. you're going on first dates, second dates, and now it's time to meet the parents, and that's a whole nother level.
Absolutely. I have a buddy who's single, actually, lives in St. Louis and played at Truman, and he always laughs at my dating analogies when it comes to recruiting, and my recruiting analogies when it comes to his dating life. So it's pretty entertaining when you can do that.
That's what it's all about, trying to find that next fit here at Columbia College. I know all the coaches that we talk to, obviously it's not just about what they do on the field, the court. It's also what happens in the classroom and so on and so forth. We're going to come back and talk with Matt Brock, the assistant head coach at Columbia College, about this current team. Only a couple games left, and then the bracket is up for the AMC tournament, and hopefully another return trip to Kansas City. We'll talk about the players on this year's squad and what the postseason aspirations could be for this team. We'll come back right after this here on Mediacom Channel 22.
With faster internet and boundary-free TV from Mediacom, you can do everything everywhere.
It's true. I can watch live TV on my tablet anywhere in the house.
And I can take my YouTube video and use TiVo to stream it on my TV.
It's easy for me to set my DVR from the office.
Or download something I DVR'd.
And enjoy my favorite show at 30,000 feet.
Now that's the way to travel. Mediacom, the power to simplify.
Talking Cougar hoops with the assistant coach, Matt Brock of the Columbia College Cougars, sitting, looks like pretty much locked up the number 2 spot, at least in the AMC conference. Freed Hardman is going to finish number 1 in the conference. Still a couple games left to go, but let's look back a little bit at the season. You had the early 3-game losing skid at least, and then bounced back from that and went on a nice roll for a while there. Talk about how this team faced that adversity of that skid and responded very nicely with rebounding back and rattling off a bunch of wins.
Well, that was a tough stretch. I mean, in December we had 3 games in a row at Lyon College, at Freed Hardeman, which was the same trip, and then came back home with Benedictine, who was top 10 at the time, still in the top 25, but just a really good team. And we knew that going into the season, those were going to be 3 tough games, and had a flat half at Lyon, and lost a coin flip game in overtime at Freed, and then lost. Zach has a shot go in and out to snap our home winning streak at home. So either of the 3 of those games could have gone either way, but we bounced back, like you said, and it just shows you the mental toughness and the grit in our guys, and how a few losses, actually a lot of losses for us at that point, didn't shake them, and we came back and got better and learned from them and watched film and re-emphasized some things, and really got a lot better, I think, in the month of January.
who's the player that at the beginning of the year you thought, okay, all right, but now here as we are sitting as the calendar almost flips to March, that you think, wow, okay, he really took a big jump forward talent-wise. Who's that player or a couple players that?
Well, Zach Rocker's obviously coming off the injury last year and actually playing a new position than he played 2 years ago for us. He was a wing in 12-13, and now we kind of moved into a forward spot and playing a little more around the basket. And he's thrived in that role and done a really nice job for us. Our freshmen, actually, I've been very happy with both of their development. Jackson Dubinsky from Rockbridge, he's really handling the ball and running the team really at a really high level. And then Nick Reynolds from Peoria Notre Dame is shooting the ball really well. Those two guys actually play really well together and have given us some really big lifts in recent games. Saturday at Missouri Baptist and in some other games where just kind of gave us some separation when we brought our fresh guys in. And sometimes you hope that your bench guys, especially freshmen, can just keep it even. And those guys don't do that. They go ahead and say, all right, we're going to go ahead and stretch this lead to 10 or 15. And that's comforting as a coaching staff when you can get into a rotation and have confidence in those guys.
I think that's the one thing that over the years with the success that Coach Burchard has had here at Columbia College, it's almost that analogy that they always said about the Atlanta Braves in baseball. They never just kind of they reload every year. And they're so deep. It just seems like, talking with Tanner Sutton before this season, I think it was after practice number 2 at a volleyball event, he's thinking, I can't believe this is the beginning of my senior year, and talking with Jackson Dubinsky, and I was saying, hey, before you know it, it's going to be that first practice of your senior year, and all those guys, both the seniors and the freshmen and everybody in between, really studies and practices and works really hard to try and get this team to that highest level as possible.
Yeah, I think our senior class, obviously Tanner and Jeremy have a little more of a role than the rest of them, but they've, and our juniors for that matter, have really shown the new guys really quickly, hey, this is how we do things, and this is the level at which we work. And yeah, we do a lot of different things. We're in the weight room, we're in the film room, we're doing individual workouts twice a week. All these things we do, that's just what we do. I mean, this is who we are, and it hasn't been a real shock to, or kind of hasn't had to have guys learn how to work and how to operate like we want them to operate on a daily basis, because they just kind of learn it from the guys that have been here. And that's, those guys that are 3-4 year players that understand things, they're priceless when it comes to building a team, because they can do so much more than we as coaches can do inside the locker room.
That's when they become that third coach out on the court, actually, because you can run that offense or that defense. As we wrap up things here, the tournament around the corner, you play teams twice every year in the regular season, and things change so much from that first meeting to the second. Obviously, with the semester change in there, some teams get newer players. There's injuries, all kinds of different things that take place in the change of the year. And now you have the prospect of facing some teams for a third time. You're going to have to face a couple teams a third time if you want to run the table and win that AMC Conference Tournament Championship. How does that change, if at all, with some of the planning and prepping for those games come AMC tournament time?
Well, like you said, I mean, teams do change, and several teams have added players that semester. Some really good players, Park, Freed, Hardeman. Some teams have lost players that semester, more adds than losses, it seems like, this year for our league. So teams are different than they were even in early January. Now that you've been through a whole season, freshmen aren't really freshmen anymore, and junior college guys, their transition is usually complete by now, and they understand what their coach wants, and guys know their role. So teams are usually playing at their best basketball right now, and I think teams at the bottom of our league are even playing the best basketball of the year, not only statistically but just on the court when you can see it. So we're definitely gonna have to raise our level, and it's always tough to play a team second time after maybe you've won the first one, maybe you won it by double digits. They're going to be focused, and how focused can you stay and say, you know what, that game, we don't get any bonus points for that game. Now it's a 0-0, and even a third time makes it even tougher. So but our guys do a great job of respecting everybody and preparing for every game consistently, and being ready to play. And that's the bottom line. Is it comes down to you got to go out there and play, and all the preparation and everything that goes into it. We're on a practice 106 yesterday, so it's time. It's time to do it when you're on the court.
You're officially an assistant coach of Bob Bircher when you know the number of practices right off the jump. That sounds very familiar. Well, Coach, good luck the last couple regular season games, tournament time. Hopefully another trip back to historic Municipal in Kansas City for the national tournament once again.
All right, thank you.
Coach Matt Brock, assistant coach at Columbia College. And again, the Cougars getting ready to wrap things up. Follow along the brackets and more as far as what the postseason will have for Columbia College on the website, ColumbiaCougars.com. Thanks for watching Cougar Coaches Show here on Mediacom Channel 22.